YouTube is putting out an update that is changing the way that they're calculating views on YouTube videos. Starting sometime next week, you are now going to get one view for every person who actually clicks on your videos. And I know what you're thinking. What? Yeah, that's what a view is. I mean, you've got all these other nerd metrics like click-through rate for how many people saw the thumbnail but didn't click, as well as average view duration for how long somebody watched a video. I thought these were the things that calculated everything around the quality of if that video gets more views, but a view is how many people clicked on the video, right? No. In fact, for quite a little while now, YouTube has made it so that, for the most part, if you didn't watch a video for at least 30 seconds, it wouldn't count you as a view. And they felt like that view number was a more accurate representation of people who both clicked on the video and gave it an earnest watch before deciding to just toss them off to the side and consider them too low quality of an individual watching the video to be considered into any of their deeper metrics if they didn't watch for even 30 seconds. Now, if you click a video, even if you only watch it for 1 second, you are going to be counted as a view, which begs the question, why does this change matter? Why did they even require 30 seconds of it to begin with? And interestingly enough, it isn't that different to how every other social media platform works, but it is kind of a big deal. First of all, have you ever considered why views on YouTube are worth so much? Like, if you get 100,000 views on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, it kind of means nothing, basically. People don't even really consider it going viral if you get 50,000 views on a Facebook video, for instance. However, if you got 50,000 views on a YouTube video, people would start asking when you're going to quit your day job and start uploading consistently. I mean, you're basically a YouTuber at this point. The views mean so much more when it comes to YouTube videos. Why is that? The reason is because there is a much larger barrier to entry to watching a YouTube video. In order to get a YouTube video in front of you for you to start watching it, you have to do more things. There is more input required out of you. You have to actually scroll through YouTube without watching anything. See a thumbnail or a title or a subscription feed or a creator that you think is interesting, click into that video, probably wait through an ad before you see any of that video play before you. And that's a lot to ask out of somebody. On Instagram, you're swiping through photos left and right. Even on Instagram Reels, you're not really picking the next thing that you're watching. You're kind of just watching whatever it puts in front of you. So whether you're watching for 5 seconds or 10 seconds doesn't really matter, because that could be somebody who finds the beginning of a TikTok interesting. It could be somebody just sort of like brushing their nose before their hand is free to swipe away to the next thing. And you go through thousands and thousands of those in the time that it takes you to get on the bus, wait for your wife, finish wiping, or whatever it is that you're doing. But to get to a YouTube video, in addition to opening the app and selecting a video, you gotta actually click on the thing. You gotta get through stuff, and then you gotta start watching, and only then does it ever really matter that you're into that piece of content versus everything else that's so short form nowadays. Even on Facebook, if you're scrolling through your Facebook feed, a lot of videos will automatically play. Even on Twitter, videos will automatically play. You don't need to click on them. You're scrolling to find something else, the next tweet, the next big titty anime girl that scrolls across your feed. You're not deciding to watch that video. The fact that it plays, the fact that it shows up on your homepage is all designed by Twitter or Instagram or TikTok on the back end. But on YouTube, while the videos get put in front of you all the same, you still got to make that click. And that's why it's much more difficult to get views on YouTube, because of that extra little speed bump. And that's why views are so much more valuable on YouTube. Views are a much more accurate representation on YouTube of, I decided that this was worth my time to click on and watch and engage with this content or this content creator, versus every other website nowadays like TikTok or Instagram Reels, where you're not really picking anything. The fact that you scrolled and watched something for 5 seconds might as well be that you didn't watch it at all. There isn't a hard date for when YouTube introduced this ghost 30-second rule. I don't even think it's officially documented in too many places, but we can take a look at when YouTube started to introduce ads and take a look at the fact that most ads wouldn't be considered as something that the advertiser pays for unless somebody sits through at least 30 seconds or the entirety of the ad. And as a result, we can assume that they followed basically the same metric and assume that about 30 seconds of people watching a video was when they started to consider a view. This is also around the the time, back in like 2012, when YouTube had that bug where every video was stuck at 301 views. The reason for that is because they had some back-end machine polishing that needed to go through and make sure that everybody who's clicking on this wasn't bots, was watching long enough, you know, those sorts of things before they get counted as a view. So this entire 30 seconds before somebody gets considered a view on a YouTube video probably predates the better part of like 10 plus years at this point. For the most part, on modern YouTube, they have always only really considered a video that got 1,000 views as 1,000 people who watched for at least 30 seconds versus 1,000 people who clicked on the video and then maybe clicked off for one reason or another. Now, YouTube still has that roadblock, that gatekeeping of making sure that you need to click on a long form video before you get counted as a view to begin with. So it is still more highly sought after, more valuable to have views on YouTube than it is on other social media platforms. But with this change, they have massively reduced the deterrent for where a view is captured on a YouTube video, bringing it more in line with a number of other social media websites. If you got 10,000 views on TikTok, you can pretty much assume that 10,000 people scrolled across your TikTok. 10,000 people viewed your Facebook video, saw your Twitter post, whatever it was. But on YouTube, that was always just 10,000 people actually watched, 30 seconds, actually got into the meat of the video, or at the very least got through your introduction, which I will point through a little bit later. But now that it is going to be a more accurate representation of every single person who clicked on your video, whether they watched for 30 seconds or not, is very interesting because it means the views, in theory, are going to skyrocket. Maybe not skyrocket, but go up dramatically on YouTube. And it does beg the question a little bit, why? Because YouTube views are so sought after, because 10,000 views on YouTube pay so much more than 10,000 website visits, 10,000 views on TikTok or Twitter, they're so much harder to get. They're so much more accurate of a representation of how many people actually clicked and engaged with your piece of content. Why would YouTube decide to lower that bar in an effort to up those numbers if in reality those numbers are going to be people that weren't really watching it all to begin with? I mean, you're already counting people who watch your videos for at least 30 seconds. Most of my videos are like 20 minutes long. If you start to also include the views from people who clicked off in the first 30 seconds, is that even accomplishing anything for my numbers, for my viewership, for your enjoyment, for the suggestion of the videos? The reality, and this is bad news for anybody who's been watching me for a while, is that I was right, and I was right a long time ago, because your boy doesn't miss. You guys remember when I made that video talking about how a lot of YouTubers' views are down? And the reason for that is because of a change that YouTube made in the algorithm, making it so that people who were using ad blockers were no longer counted as viewers whatsoever. A lot of you guys gave me shit for that. Why does this matter whatsoever? Boo-hoo, big YouTubers don't have as many big numbers. I'm going to continue to use an ad blocker. I told you there would be ramifications. I did not think it would be this quick. YouTube stopped counting views from people who were using an ad blocker. At first, because it was an issue with one of the plugins that people were using as ad blockers, blocking the traffic that allowed YouTube to see that you had clicked and watched a video. And I told you guys that this was a very bad thing. That videos are recommended based on how many views they get. And if half of your viewership suddenly decides to dwindle overnight, YouTube will recommend your video half as often because all they see is that you got half as many views. That can be very significant for people who are changing their thumbnails every 30 seconds trying to get the best click-through rate, because all the views you get in the first hour of your video being live basically determine whether or not that video is going to get 100,000 views or 1,000,000 views, because how many people click when it's early and give views to it when it's early let YouTube know how good of a video it is and whether or not it's going to push it to 100,000 people or 1,000,000 people. And obviously, with YouTube deciding to no longer count people who are using an ad blocker, because if you block the ads, you make no money, so why count you anyway, says YouTube, not me. The doubly bad thing, obviously, is that with lower viewership, it affects sponsors for YouTubers. The vast majority of big YouTubers make their money from companies who give them t-shirts to wear, VPNs to advertise, that sort of thing. And those guys pay directly based on the average number of views that you get on a video. And if the number of views drops down, even if it was people who probably weren't going to buy anyway, well, then the numbers on your contract dwindle. And then people like me end up making less money as a result of making the exact same quality video, all because of a change that YouTube made to their algorithm. And I know, boo-hoo to the YouTuber. You guys make enough money for doing basically nothing as a job anyway. I get it. I've heard it all before. But somehow, nobody cared when it was just the sponsorships who were pulling money away from content creators. But now suddenly there needs to be a platinum-wide change because YouTube seems to forget that a ton of its money also comes from advertisers, and everybody's views going down make the website look bad on the whole. The major downfall of this started alongside the major downfall of everything on the internet nowadays, and that is with short-form content. When YouTube first introduced YouTube Shorts, they did it in an effort to compete with Instagram Reels and TikTok, in an effort to give creators who are making these vertically scrolling short throwaway sort of content, an avenue to be able to do such on YouTube, a place that already allows you to host videos. And as a result, a ton of people started to make YouTube Shorts. A ton of people started to grow with YouTube Shorts, with YouTube's algorithm making it so that you could consume 500 shorts in the same 45 minutes you might watch 2 YouTube videos. Yeah, it was very easy to garner 50,000, 100,000, 50 million views on a Russian dancing Mr. Beast on TikTok. All of these things were very, very easy to get views on because the views were only like a second or two long. Even the best YouTube shorts are like less than 10 seconds. And as a result, there were channels that would struggle to get 50,000, 100,000 views on long form videos, suddenly skyrocketing to 200, 300 million views a month. And YouTube, while not paying exactly the same amount for those views, did see channels start to balloon with way more subscribers, way more numbers, way more interaction and traffic, to the point where it was basically difficult to compete with anybody if you weren't also making YouTube Shorts. But now YouTube's got a problem. They wanted everybody who was posting TikToks to post their TikToks onto YouTube, and they did. Now they've got YouTube Shorts. More monthly visitors on YouTube than ever before. More videos uploaded than ever before. More people are using the website than ever before, garnering more views than anybody has ever seen, and YouTube missed the point. YouTube watered down their brand. If you used to get 1,000 views on YouTube, you could make like $10, $20 sometimes. You couldn't do that for getting 1,000 views on Instagram, 1,000 views on TikTok. And advertisers are paying a lot of money to put their ads in front of people on YouTube because people are actually watching the content. I'm not talking about the sponsors that tell you to buy gamer subs from me. No, I'm talking about the ads that play on the videos, the hundreds of millions of dollars of which YouTube is completely reliant on, is being paid for by advertisers to show up in front of long form videos. The reason YouTube views pay so much is because they're actual views. And now what do, YouTube? Go to those same sponsors and let them know, hey, you're going to run your same ads, but 80% of our viewership is now vertical. 80% of people watching YouTube videos are now only watching for 15 seconds. We can't even put ads in front of those guys because they're too busy doing dances to Dua Lipa songs. Being a million subscriber creator used to mean that you were somebody whose name was known if you were here on YouTube. Now, sure, that number has gotten watered down just by how many kids have become YouTubers at this point, but I have seen people with like 5 million subscribers who have never uploaded a video ever. Their entire YouTube channel is just all the TikToks they had already uploaded to TikToks now being uploaded to YouTube Shorts and just getting recycled through that shitty algorithm of people scrolling over and over again. Advertisers didn't want to pay the same amount of money for that, plus all the AI generated slop that was just being funneled into YouTube Shorts. These things don't go hand in hand. Now, advertisers wanted to know that their 10,000 views that they were paying money for was going to be the people that were actually watching videos and not this TikTok bullshit that YouTube spent so much time setting up on their website. So at some point last week, YouTube made a change to the partner program. You know, the thing that you need to be accepted into to actually get paid by YouTube for getting views on YouTube. And they upped the stakes quite a bit. Almost definitely because they realized it was becoming a little bit too easy to get a little bit too many views, specifically if you're making YouTube Shorts. The updated partner program is going to take place in February of next year, and in order to qualify, if you're a YouTuber making long-form videos, you need to have 1,000 subscribers, which has not changed, and 8,000 watch hours on long-form videos. That is double the 4,000 watch hours that have been required for the last decade or whatever, which is not that crazy, in my opinion. I know this is a controversial take for all the small small YouTubers that now feel like the bar has been raised so much. But just for reference, any one of my videos on average will do something like 2,000 or 3,000 watch hours. So you have to do the equivalent of like 3 of my videos over 3 full months to get accepted into the YouTube Partner Program. And to be fair, if you can't even do that many views, you probably weren't going to make a ton of money to begin with. In my opinion, not a huge bar to get over if you want to take this seriously. But the key thing is they are changing the way that YouTube Shorts are now calculated into this. Starting in February, you are going to need 20 million qualified YouTube Shorts views in order to be accepted into the partner program. And this is very clearly designed to try to raise the bar away from people who are either just repurposing content, not doing enough to get their shorts out, or creating AI generated slop to some extent, making it highly more enticing for you to move away from a shorts only approach, because 20 million YouTube Shorts views is a little bit crazy if you're not uploading 5 YouTube Shorts a day. And the fact that they specify that they need to be qualified shorts means that they also need to follow that same guideline of having to watch a video for at least 30 seconds, except it's for shorts. If you just scroll by one without really watching it, that doesn't count as a shorts view. You need 20 million honest ones. And I think that gives you a little bit of a look into the difference here. 8,000 qualified watch hours. Obviously, it depends on how long people watch, but that's somewhere in the realm of like 150,000 long form views versus 20 million shorts views. What's the matter, YouTube? You wanted shorts, right? You got them. Didn't you want 100 billion more views on your website? Because that's what pays your website, right? Well, you got them. Turns out, no. Turns out just drawing a bunch of low effort, vertically scrolling, AI generated content that only people who weren't ever going to engage with it whatsoever are going to watch doesn't prove very highly beneficial to your advertisers who are paying money for people that are honestly going to engage with the content, and you have now diluted the value of a view on your website by God knows how much. So YouTube needs to right the ship. They need to try to get away from so many people watching shorts and considering that such a huge faction, a huge portion of the traffic to the website, and bring it back to what they originally know, which is getting more viewership on long form videos. So what do? They make it more difficult for shorts views to show up in people's searches. They deprioritize search. They deprioritize shorts videos from being recommended on your homepage by a little bit. They did that a couple months ago. They make it harder from lower effort short form content from entering their site to begin with. You can still make all the YouTube shorts that you want to, but you're not going to get paid for getting those shorts unless you're honestly making an effort to grow some level of community, or I guess if you're a content farm who's posting 1 million shorts a day. But hey, if these new requirements make it so that there's 50% less people for a human to have to go through and accept into the partner program, whatever, I'll take it as a win. At the same time, you make it so that your long form videos now follow the same rules as the short form videos. You used to make it harder for a long form video to count as a view because you had to watch for at least 30 seconds. Half the shorts on the platform aren't even 30 seconds long, so of course the shorts are going to get way more views as a result. Let's level the playing field a little bit. Make it harder for the shorts content to exist to begin with, and make it easier for the long form content to be brought up to the same level as the views of the short form content. That all sounds half decent if you're YouTube and you want to be able to present to advertisers that, hey, look, we are still getting a lot of views on the long form videos that people actually click and watch and will actually see your ads and might actually buy something from. Just as a side note, YouTube has specified that this will not impact creator earnings whatsoever. So even though your videos might be getting more views and YouTube will be able to use those bigger numbers to sell to advertisers so that they pay them more money, somehow that's not going to trickle down to any of us YouTubers getting paid more for the more views that our videos are supposedly going to get. It's purely an aesthetic thing that benefits the corporation, but hey, we live in capitalist America. I'm used to it at this point. One interesting facet I want to explore and see if I can dive into once this change takes place is YouTuber introductions. A lot of people weren't talking about the fact that views don't even count if they don't make it past that first 30-second mark. All YouTubers were internalizing up until this point was that you have to have a good YouTube intro. If people don't get through your intro and decide to watch the rest of the video, your average view duration goes down, and as a result, you'll get less views. But in reality, if people weren't even making it through the first 30 seconds of your video, they weren't even being counted as a view to begin with. So what does that mean now? While the average view durations might end up going down if people stop doing it, was that the change that resulted in the current meta of YouTuber intros? In this video, I gave away 1,000 houses. All this stuff that makes you think that a big intro leads to more views. Was it leading to more views, or was it just leading to people watching past the 30-second mark? Because at this point, there is a difference? Isn't a difference? Will it matter anymore? This is going to be a relatively big test for two people once this change goes live. The first is YouTube, because now that anybody who clicks on a video and decides to leave in the first 30 seconds is still going to count as a view, we're going to have to anticipate another clickbait era of YouTube. Now there's going to be a number of people that are going to be clicking on videos and turned off in the first 30 seconds, but YouTubers aren't going to be punished as hard because they're still going to get the view from that person. Sure, it might lead to a higher average view duration, but I'll be the first one to tell you that a title and thumbnail that get people to click is the most important thing. I remember taking a look at my Goonacide video, and the average view duration on that is like 1:30. People clicked off basically after I stopped explaining what the Goonacide was, and yet that video's got like 300,000 views. If you asked me if I would rather have my normal average view duration of 10+ minutes or a bunch of those videos that got 300,000 views, my paycheck would tell you I would rather be doing the clickbait. So there's going to be a big test for whether or not YouTube's entire algorithm that's supposed to be designed for viewer satisfaction, how long you watched a video, is actually going to do its job, or if we're going to enter yet another era of just clickbait videos that are trying to get you to click whether you watch the video or not. And if the algorithm does do a good job of still putting videos in front of you that it thinks is going to satisfy you as a viewer and get you to watch for a while, the second person we need to pay attention to is you. Is your viewing habit going to change now that videos are going to have more views? Very often I'll see a lot of comments on my videos that are like, oh, only 150 views in the first 10 minutes, Sumito fell off. 2K views in the first day, Sumito fell off. Everybody's going to have to adjust what the fall off threshold is at this point, because everybody's going to start getting more realistic views based on their clicks, and it's going to be very interesting to see if anybody gets sort of dug out of the dirt by a bunch of their audience that simply wasn't clicking their videos because they didn't have enough views to make them think it was worth their time. I think there is going to be a small psychological shift in viewer behavior simply based on their expectations for what is a small video, a new video, a viral video, and what have you. But most importantly, YouTube Shorts can suck my nuts. Make sure you suck the subscribe button if you want to see more of me in the future, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Spisu!